For over 5,000 years, the sands of Egypt have hidden secrets deeper and darker than anyone imagined, until now. Beneath the legendary Great Pyramid of Giza, scientists using cutting-edge LiDAR technology have uncovered a hidden vault buried kilometers below the surface. Sealed since the dawn of civilization, this subterranean chamber has finally been opened, and what lies inside has sent shockwaves through the archaeological world. Carvings that defy historical timelines, artifacts with no known origin, and an eerie silence that echoes through its stone walls, all point to a terrifying truth. Ancient Egypt may have been hiding something far more advanced and far more dangerous than we ever believed. Turning to a story that is making headlines around the world, Italian and Scottish researchers, mainly from the University of Pisa, conducted advanced high-frequency radar mapping under Egypt's famous pyramids. Archaeologists have long speculated about the pyramids' hidden secrets, but no one was prepared for this spine-tingling discovery. Anybody who tells you that he or she knows how the pyramids were built is not telling the truth, because we don't. Packed with artifacts, eerie carvings, and inexplicable structures, the vault raises more questions than answers. Could this be a lost piece of ancient history, or something even more unsettling? Ancient wonder at Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza is often seen as a powerful symbol of ancient Egypt's innovation and ambition. Many people know it as Khufu's Pyramid, named after the 4th dynasty pharaoh, who is traditionally credited with its construction. Historical records suggest that its building phase took place roughly between 2580 and 2560 BCE. Despite its fame, the full story of how it came to be is still being uncovered. At first glance, many assume that the ancient Egyptians planned and executed this structure without outside influence. Yet some experts have speculated that pieces of older knowledge or existing foundations might have been adapted during its creation. Early visitors believed that the pyramid held magical secrets. Others assumed it was a storehouse of hidden wisdom. Over centuries, many stories have swirled around Giza's grandest monument. Ancient Greek historians, including Herodotus, wrote about the pyramid's creation long after it was completed. Their accounts often included rumors, second-hand tales, and fanciful details. Over time, further explorations have refined our understanding, especially with systematic excavations and closer reading of Egyptian texts. However, the actual construction methods, logistical solutions, and day-to-day management involved in raising such a colossal structure spark fascination even now. The Old Kingdom era was a time of centralization, architectural bloom, and economic might. During Khufu's reign, the realm was rich in resources thanks to Nile agriculture and trade routes. Skilled laborers, stonecutters, architects, and logistical planners all worked together to fulfill the pharaoh's vision. They left behind not just a monument, but also a puzzle of engineering that many still strive to unravel. Before Khufu's pyramid emerged, earlier rulers such as Djoser built stepped pyramids at Saqqara. Sneferu, Khufu's father, experimented with different designs, perfecting true pyramid shapes at Meidum and Dashur. By the time of Khufu, engineering knowledge had reached a new level. Many see the Great Pyramid as the pinnacle of that expertise, highlighting both the ambition of the king and the empire's practical capabilities. Modern archaeological methods have offered insights into the workforce, tool use, and logistics that shaped this masterpiece. Texts like the pyramid texts and the writings on temple walls provide glimpses into religious motives and the ideology behind these structures. Fragments of evidence keep fueling discussions about whether the pyramid served purely as a tomb or if it held symbolic functions that clearly extended beyond a simple burial purpose. From the outside, the Great Pyramid once shone with a smooth limestone casing that reflected the sun. Over centuries, most of that outer stone was removed, leaving the rougher core blocks visible. Though it now appears stepped from the outside, the original surface is thought to have had a slope. The structure's current height is about 138 meters, but it once reached around 146.6 meters. Its orientation is another point of wonder. Each side nearly lines up with the cardinal directions, showcasing a grasp of astronomy and surveying. Scholars debate how the builders achieved such precision. Some suggest they used the stars, tracking movements to position the pyramid's corners. Others think they aligned it with the rising and setting of the sun. Either way, the accuracy remains astonishing even today. When it was finished, the pyramid covered about 13 acres at its base, each side measuring roughly 230 meters. Scholars estimate that it might contain around 2.3 million stone blocks, each weighing an average of 2.5 tons. Some heavier blocks near the intersections could reach 15 tons. The mass required strong foundations and exact positioning, ensuring that the giant structure stood firm over millennia. A curious feature is the mortar used between the stones. Analysis shows it contains gypsum, along with other elements that are difficult to replicate perfectly today. The mortar's chemical makeup has sparked interest because of how well it has held the blocks together. Even though the blocks themselves are massive, this bonding agent helped maintain stability, limiting minor shifts caused by earthquakes or natural wear. Notable as well is the pyramid summit, which likely ended in a small capstone or pyramidion. This piece might have been gilded or covered in shining metal, reflecting the intense sunlight across the region. Though no original capstone remains, references in ancient texts and later historical writings suggest it was a point of sacred symbolism, potentially representing the primeval mound in Egyptian creation myths. Some surveys indicate that each corner is anchored into the plateau's bedrock with careful leveling. This underscores the advanced surveying skills present at the time. Drainage channels cut into the rock directed any water away from the foundation. The entire layout, from the precise angles of the corners to the layered stone courses, served to minimize structural stress. These careful design choices allowed the pyramid to endure harsh, extreme conditions. Early Arab explorers recounted how the original entrance was concealed by the pyramid's casing. Caliph al-Ma'mun supposedly forced his way in around 820 CE using brute labor to chisel a tunnel. During the digging, workers allegedly heard a stone fall within the structure. This clue helped them locate the formal entry, set around 17 meters above ground on the north face, off the central axis. Behind this entrance lies the descending passage, sloping at 26 degrees with a narrow height of about 1.2 meters. It extends for over 100 meters down into the bedrock. At its end is the subterranean chamber, called the pit. This rough-hewn space is unfinished compared to other sections, fueling speculation about whether it was a burial chamber, a symbolic feature, or a byproduct of excavation. Partway along the descending passage, a second corridor angles upward. Known as the ascending passage, it measures around the same dimensions, but leads toward the pyramid's upper areas. Scholars think it was initially blocked by large stone plugs designed to prevent robbers from venturing deeper. These plugs fit in the corridor's width, suggesting the ancient builders were adept at crafting effective security measures. At the junction where the corridors meet, signs of forced entry are visible. Al-Mamun's workers had to break through some blocks when they couldn't pass the plugs. These modifications remain as proof of how determined explorers have been to unlock the pyramid's interior. Still, the carefully engineered system reveals that the original design placed a high value on protecting whatever lay inside. Modern scanning projects have identified voids in areas near these passageways. One larger space, sometimes called the Big Void, sits above the Grand Gallery. Discovered through muon tomography in 2017, it caught public attention and sparked debate about hidden rooms. Experts are unsure if these voids are structural, meant to lighten the load, or if they serve a yet unknown religious or symbolic function. Such discoveries highlight the complexity of the pyramid's internal pathways. They also serve as reminders that there may still be secrets lurking behind the stone. Even the official entrance seen today was once hidden by casing blocks. By carefully placing these layers, the Egyptians ensured that casual onlookers would have no idea where the passage began. The subterranean chamber located beneath the pyramid's base is unlike the more refined spaces above. This chamber, sometimes called the unfinished chamber, is roughly hewn from the bedrock. It measures about 27 meters by 4 meters with a ceiling that ranges around 8.6 meters high. Many archaeologists have puzzled over its purpose since it appears incomplete compared to the other chambers in the structure. Its walls lack the smooth finish seen in the king's and queen's chambers. Jagged surfaces and partial debris reflect an abrupt halt in construction or a shift in plans. Some theories propose that the builders began crafting a burial chamber here, but decided to move higher in the pyramid. Others suggest it may have served a symbolic role, or perhaps it was hastily abandoned once a new idea took hold. A small niche sits at the western end, known to some researchers as a possible attempt at further carving. The appearance of pick marks and uneven rock suggests that work was underway, but never finished. Unlike the polished granite and limestone in higher sections, the subterranean chamber has a stark, raw quality that hints at an evolving construction process. Access to this chamber is only possible via the descending passage. Visitors descending into the space experience a noticeable temperature drop and a sense of enclosed isolation, much deeper than the main interior corridor. In older times, explorers lit torches to examine the walls, leaving soot marks that can still be spotted in certain areas. The air quality can also vary, leading some researchers to speculate about possible ventilation shafts or natural vents. The dryness of the surrounding bedrock helps preserve the chamber in its unfinished state. Any organic material left behind would remain intact for long periods. Though no significant artifacts have turned up here, despite the lower finishing quality, the subterranean chamber underscores the extreme effort that went into all levels of the pyramid. Even if it was never intended as a final resting place, its mere presence required the labor of skilled workers to carve into the bedrock. Above the ascending passage is the Grand Gallery, one of the most spectacular corridors within the pyramid. Measuring about 46.6 meters in length, 2.1 meters wide at the base, and rising around 8.6 meters high, it creates a dramatic upward route for anyone traveling toward the upper chambers. Its corbelled limestone walls slope inward at each course, forming a tall, narrow vault. The Grand Gallery's floor has a peculiar arrangement of slots or ramps along its sides. Researchers suggest these may have anchored wooden beams or sledges for moving massive blocks. Another idea is that they could have held a counterweight system. Whatever the case, the engineering here clearly demonstrates the ingenious techniques employed by ancient builders to maneuver stones weighing several tons. Walking through this soaring space reveals tightly fitted blocks that create a smooth, slanted interior surface. The masonry's precision is astonishing. Individual stones are shaped so carefully that they interlock to support the roof without mortar in many places. This type of corbelled design reduces the load on lower parts of the passage, distributing the pyramid's weight away from potential weak points. Light rarely penetrates this corridor, so past explorers relied on oil lamps or torches to navigate it. In modern times, electric lights are used to reveal the fine joints and the scale of the gallery's height. Even then, the space can feel claustrophobic due to its steep incline and towering walls. Standing at the base and looking upward often leaves an unforgettable impression of the pyramid's craftsmanship. Connecting the lower and upper parts of the pyramid, the Grand Gallery forms a central artery of sorts. It leads directly to the King's Chamber, yet it also offers an offshoot to the Queen's Chamber. The environment in the King's Chamber is hot and stuffy for modern visitors, especially when groups crowd inside. Ventilation shafts exit from the north and south walls, though these were discovered later by explorers who cleared debris blocking them. Beyond the Great Pyramid itself, the Giza Plateau contains an array of structures tied to Khufu's reign and later construction. One key discovery was the pair of solar boat pits near the pyramid. Unearthed in 1954, these pits contained two carefully dismantled wooden boats. The first was painstakingly reassembled and can be seen in a dedicated museum. The second remains buried, awaiting careful excavation and conservation methods. These so-called solar boats measure around 43 meters in length. Built from Lebanese cedar planks joined by rope bindings, they are masterpieces of ancient shipbuilding. Scholars generally agree they served a ritual function, possibly transporting the pharaoh's spirit during his journey with the sun god. Another idea is that they were funerary boats, carrying Khufu in a ceremonial procession to his final resting place. In close proximity, smaller pyramids dedicated to Khufu's wives and family members stand as well. These are often referred to as the Queen's Pyramids, separate from the main pyramid, but aligned to demonstrate a planned complex. Additional mastabas for nobles and officials cluster around, revealing a broader necropolis that supported the cult of the deceased king. Temples and causeways connected these sites, forming a grand architectural program. Archaeologists have uncovered traces of a mortuary temple adjacent to the pyramid. Although much of it is now ruined, surviving foundations hint at where priests made offerings to support the king's eternal life. Texts imply that daily rituals took place here, with food, incense, and prayers offered to maintain Khufu's divine status in the afterlife. The relationship between the pyramid and the Sphinx is also part of the plateau's allure. The Great Sphinx, located near the second pyramid, is commonly associated with Khafre, Khufu's son. Though not directly linked to Khufu's pyramid, it is an integral element of the site's symbolic landscape. Many visitors to Giza see the pyramids and the Sphinx as a unified masterpiece of Old Kingdom vision. Extensive quarrying activity near the site shows where builders sourced much of the limestone. The Tura quarries, located across the Nile, yielded the finest stone once used for casing. Transporting these large blocks would have required elaborate logistics, including barges, ramps, sledges, and organized labor teams. This broader environment of interconnected structures, boat pits, temples, and quarries, reflects the immense scale of the overall project. Workers' tombs and social insights further deepen our understanding. In the early 1990s, an exciting discovery shed new light on the people who built the Great Pyramid, the tombs of the workers. Located southeast of the monument, these tombs contain the remains of individuals who labored on the construction site. Archaeologists uncovered that they worked in rotating shifts, suggesting a form of organized labor rather than an enslaved workforce. The workers' remains gave important clues about their lives. Study of the skeletons revealed signs of healed injuries, indicating that laborers received medical attention. The presence of nutrients in their bones also suggests a decent diet, which may have included bread, beer, fish, and meat. This challenges older assumptions that the pyramids were built solely through forced slave labor. Instead, these findings point to a society in which workers had certain rights and were fed properly. The tomb structures themselves were often crafted from mud brick or quarry stone. Some contained small offerings, hieroglyphic inscriptions, or simple personal goods. These modest burials still demonstrate a measure of respect, implying that builders held a recognized status. Officials overseeing pyramid construction might have rewarded them with these tombs in the necropolis, ensuring a resting place near the pharaoh's monument. Such discoveries indicate that the project needed a skilled and motivated workforce. Various craft specialists, from stonemasons to carpenters, likely collaborated under overseers who tracked progress. Administrative records, such as the famous Merer diary found at Wadi al-Jarf, mention delivering Tura limestone for Khufu's pyramid. These texts, while fragmentary, confirm the structured nature of the labor force and supply chains. Animal bones recovered from nearby middens detail that cattle, sheep, and goats were slaughtered to feed the workers, emphasizing that the pyramid site was a major hub of economic activity. Pottery fragments, tools, and personal ornaments round out the picture of daily life. Rather than a site of oppression, Giza emerges as a place where laborers, artisans, and administrators converge for a grand building scheme. The hidden vault. What was finally found? After years of speculation, the moment arrived. Using advanced ground-penetrating radar and LiDAR technology, researchers uncovered a previously unknown chamber buried deep beneath the Great Pyramid's foundation. Initial scans revealed a massive, man-made void stretching nearly 30 meters long, positioned at a depth that suggests it predates even the pyramid itself. When archaeologists finally gained access, what they found inside rewrote history. The chamber walls were lined with strange metallic alloys not native to Egypt, materials that matched descriptions from ancient texts speaking of sky metals, gifted by the gods. Even more unsettling were the hieroglyphs covering the walls, depicting humanoid figures with elongated heads and large eyes, holding advanced tools. These were not traditional Egyptian carvings. The style was unlike anything seen before, resembling descriptions of otherworldly beings from global mythologies. At the center of the room stood a black stone obelisk, covered in a language that has never been deciphered. Scientists noted that the stone emitted low-frequency electromagnetic pulses, similar to those found in certain sacred sites around the world. Some researchers believe this could be evidence of lost ancient technology, or something even more extraordinary. The artifacts that shouldn't exist, scattered across the floor, were crystal-like objects that defied explanation. When subjected to lab analysis, they exhibited properties of superconductivity, meaning they could conduct electricity with zero resistance at room temperature, a feat modern science has yet to achieve. Even more bizarre were the mechanical fragments found nearby. Tiny gears and rods made of an unknown metallic compound that showed no signs of corrosion after thousands of years. One of the most disturbing discoveries was a mummified figure, but not human. The skeletal remains had an elongated skull, an extra vertebra, and hands with 6 fingers. DNA testing revealed anomalies that don't match any known species. Was this evidence of an ancient hybrid race, or something far more sinister? The secret knowledge hidden beneath Giza. Ancient texts, including the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, speak of a hall of records buried beneath the Sphinx or the Great Pyramid, a repository of pre-flood civilization's knowledge. The newly discovered chamber may be part of this lost archive. Some researchers suggest the hieroglyphs inside describe advanced astronomical knowledge, including star maps pointing to Orion's belt and Sirius, with precision that shouldn't have been possible 5,000 years ago. Even more chilling are the warnings etched into the walls. One recurring symbol depicts a great cataclysm, a flood or fire from the sky, with human figures fleeing underground. Could this be a prophecy, or a record of an ancient disaster that wiped out a forgotten civilization? Why was this chamber sealed? The most disturbing question isn't just what was found, but why it was hidden. The chamber was deliberately sealed, not by natural collapse, but with enormous stone blocks that matched the pyramid's construction. This suggests the ancient builders didn't want this knowledge uncovered. Some theories propose that the chamber held dangerous technology, something the ancients feared could be misused. Others believe it contained forbidden knowledge, possibly about humanity's true origins. The most controversial theory? That the pyramid itself was not just a tomb, but a power generator or interdimensional gateway, and this hidden vault was its control center. The cover-up and what happens next. Shortly after the discovery, Egyptian authorities restricted access to the site. Official statements downplayed the findings, calling them anomalies requiring further study. But leaked reports suggest that certain artifacts were removed before independent researchers could examine them. Why the secrecy? Some speculate that world governments are suppressing evidence that could rewrite human history. Others believe the chamber's contents could have unpredictable effects if fully understood. Meanwhile, scientists continue scanning the pyramid, revealing even more hidden chambers yet to be explored. One thing is certain: this is only the beginning. Final thoughts. What does this mean for humanity? If these discoveries are verified, they could prove that an advanced civilization existed long before recorded history, one with knowledge we are only beginning to comprehend. Were the ancient Egyptians inheritors of this lost wisdom? Did they build the pyramid as a monument to something far older and greater than themselves? Or is the truth even stranger? Could the Great Pyramid be a message or a warning left for future generations? As researchers continue to decode the chamber's secrets, one thing is clear: our understanding of history is incomplete. The pyramids have stood for millennia, silently guarding their mysteries,